You're listening to.
You are listening to.
You're listening.
Yo, what up, bitches? You're listening to Hey Poopy Podcast. Get your shit on.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
And now, the Hey Poopy Podcast with Dave and Ellen.
Hey everybody, we are back on Dump Day.
Hey, this is the Hey Poopy Podcast with
Dave
and Ellen, and this is episode 93, but it'll always be number 2 to us.
It's so crazy that we have this many episodes. I still can't get over that. It's a lot of shit talking.
100 soon.
Yeah, I know.
I guess it's the one common thing, that and death.
Yeah.
The only sureties in life. We're going to eat, we're going to shit, we're going to die.
That's our next podcast, the Death Podcast.
Whoa.
Well,
and you just heard our guest, Mat Fraser, is here with us.
Yes.
Hi there, guys. Really nice to be here, and I've created my own intro track. So here we go. Hi, guys. My name's Mat Fraser, and I'm delighted to be on your podcast.
Whoa!
There's a little bit of a strain. I like it.
Live shitter on the show.
Well, he is a trained actor, so
Anyway,
I love it.
Not very good at not stuffing the next YouTunes track there. So anyway, I'm all yours, people. I'm all yours.
You're going fully method.
Matt, before we figure out who you are and more about your poo, we like to know, did you poo today? We're checking in with you. How have you been pooping recently?
I'm very regular. I'm a pescatarian and a really healthy eater. So it's very rare that I eat the kind of foodstuffs that will bung me up. So if I don't immediately expel that which I had the day before upon waking, it's unusual. So normally I'll get up, pee, I'll go put the coffee on, but I'll have to revisit the toilet before the coffee's ready to take my big dump of the day.
Nice.
Sometimes after that coffee, like another half an hour later, so that's normally about an hour and a half after the previous dump, I'll do a second one. And I'll think, lunch and dinner. I'm very regular. I'm lucky like that.
Would you say your poos are like a nice number 4 on the Bristol stool chart, or are they like kind of all over the map? I mean, it seems like
I'm aware of your
so.
Bristolian chart, but I'm unaware of it. But I usually am a fairly solid logger. Again, given the nature of my mostly vegetarian diet, it's not super strong. And depending on what I ate last night, I'm very into inspecting, feeling the stool come out, getting a reassurance from looking at it, and assessing. I immediately know if I had forgotten what I'd eaten last night, I'd probably know from the poo.
Gotcha. Okay.
This is the Bristol. If you can see, this is the Bristol stool.
A little to your right, Ellen, a little to your right. Keep going. Oh, I'm usually I somewhere between 3 and 4, I think.
That's great.
That's good. That's very healthy.
Healthy eater, healthy poops.
The other day, laid down a complete 16-incher. It curled just in time, so ordinarily it would have broken in any regular bowl. But
that's like Ellen territory.
You know about Dutch toilets, right? You know about Dutch toilets in Holland?
No.
They've got this weird shelf.
Well, I know German toilets. I've seen that.
Oh yeah. In Germany, they have them too.
Yeah. And if, like myself, you sit down to pee and you're a guy, so I sometimes have to hold my balls and cock a little so that they don't rest on be produced, which would be horrific.
Disgusting.
But you get to really inspect it all in the Dutch way.
So you are either boasting that you have a big cock and balls, or you're boasting that you make a huge load that touches your cock and balls.
Or both.
Well, no, but we will get to that story.
Excellent. I can't wait.
How about you, Dave? How your poo's been?
Mine been pretty good. I made the mistake. I think as I'm getting older, My birthday is the end of this month. As I'm getting older, I really have to come to grips with the fact that I can no longer handle spicy food. I love spicy food. It's like one of my favorite things. I enjoy it. And I had this amazing like jerk chicken like health bowl last week with lunch with my wife. And the next day we both were like ass on fire. Like just nonstop. I think I barely got any sleep that night. I'd been up like pretty much out every hour on the hour just in the bathroom. It was brutal. My stomach was like destroyed. And it wasn't even that spicy.
Man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, it's everything. The ship has been righted. I feel a lot better now. And this was like, probably like a few days ago. But everything's been pretty solid. I had a nice number 4 this morning. So that was excellent.
Oh, so I'm going to go into another epic check-in. Our last episode, we hadn't recorded in a month, and I decided to break up my month-long epic check-in into 2 episodes because we have other things to do than talk about shit for like 24 hours straight, even though I would love that. So I, last Monday, a week ago, had what they call a mini colonoscopy. So instead of
it's okay. It's the smoke alarm guy.
Smoke alarm guy.
And so instead of a full colonoscopy where you like clean out for 24 hours beforehand, barely eat anything, and then they knock you out and put a scope up there to check out if everything's okay. This one, I was able to eat whatever I wanted. Yeah. It was able to eat whatever I wanted. I just had to do a full-on enema the morning of, which I did, and I bought 2 enemas just in case. The enema went pretty awesome, I'd like to say. I put it in, and I just pooped out like some little segments of 4. It wasn't even like diarrhea. I was kind of impressed how it just worked really efficiently. Then I went to the doctor. She told me everything we were going to do. I laid on my side. She stuck a scope up my ass, and I watched the entire thing on a TV while it was happening. So you could literally see the scope go towards my butt, then my butthole came close to the scope, and then all of a sudden it was like pinkish red inside. So he entered my butthole, went into my rectum, went up my colon, only the first, I guess technically the last half of my colon. And she saw everything. She saw a little dew that was left over. She said that's normal. But everything else, she said, is healthy and happy. And so I am here to report that she couldn't see any disease in my rectum or the last half of my colon. So that's exciting. The reason when I went is because of my terrible hemorrhoid problem, because we're trying to get to the bottom of why my rectum is so itchy and I have pressure in there. Because she says my hemorrhoids don't look as bad, but she gave me some new medicine. So until they get really, really bad, I'm not supposed to put the medicine up there. One's a powder, one's a cream. I'm also confused by that, but we'll try it when we get there. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to say that I was wide awake. I will post when this episode goes up a picture of the inside of my insides, a picture of the scope that went 26 centimeters up, a picture of the whole setup. So I'm here to report rectal health is happy health. Get your buttholes on, people.
Good. I'm not one of those vegetarians. But when I'm backed into a corner by arrogant meat eaterishness, how do you get your protein? Once it all gets a bit like that, and it's very rare. But then I bring out my big guns. I say, hey, buddy, I'm not going to eat meat. You eat meat. You do what you want. It's your colon. And they go, what do you mean? I go, well, you know that 86% of all cancer starts in the colon. And that impacted meat is one of the primary reasons that problems begin. But go, enjoy your diet. Bye.
Good luck to you.
I completely agree.
I would never say that to somebody unless they teased me about my vegetable eating.
Yeah.
I'm a pesky pollo-atarian.
What's the pollo? Is that chicken?
Yeah, I do poultry and I do fish. But I don't do any red meats. I don't do mammals. I can't eat a cow and a pig when my dog looks like a cow and a pig made a baby. So.
Okay.
I'll eat it for you.
Yeah,
I'll eat it for you.
If anyone want to eat it, that's fine with me.
Julie,
I
my
was
other half, she's an omnivore. She's everything.
Yeah. I was a vegetarian for about 10 years. Like, I didn't wear leather, nothing. That was like the whole. And then slowly, I mean, I didn't eat fish, I didn't eat anything. And then slowly I went back. Like, over the span of 2 years, I went back to the dark side. But, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed leather furniture, and still to this day makes me feel like a hypocrite. But,
I mean, look, it lasts. It's
Hey,
lux.
at least your colon's clean.
yeah, yeah.
You
You
might-
sit
you're-
naked on.
Yeah, you might sit your butt cheeks on the leather, but there's no leather inside your butt cheeks.
Look, you got to have nice things.
Yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
might start my life. I deserve them.
One last thing with my check-in, I actually did poop today, and it was a little bit diarrhea-like, and it was crazy. I was on the couch, and I stood up, not even thinking I had to poo or pee. I stood up, and I heard a... And it was such a fast fart that it was a slight shart. And I had to run to the bathroom and have explosive diarrhea. Have no idea what I ate. It came on fast and furious. So, yeah.
It
Now
can
I'm
happen.
going to eat a tamarind that looks like a little poo-poo.
It really does. That's the longest tamarind I've seen.
Ellen's putting up to the people at home. Ellen is putting up her little tamarind she's eating, which does look like a little turd. It's like something my cat took, like in the litter box.
Exactly.
Well, cat food is like fucking
Yeah.
rock.
Oh, yes.
Jesus Christ, you could bounce that shit and it shatters.
This is true. Well, I'm super delighted you're on this show, by the way.
It's lovely to be here.
I was really excited. We all went to the beach, socially distancing, by the way, people, at the beach.
Yeah, we're very, very safe there
And,
with all children.
Matt had some things we were talking about, and I'm like, hey, this would be a perfect person to have on this show.
Yeah. God, I've got the list in front of me. I thought,
Before we go into your entire copious notes, I would love to tell the audience who you are besides your poo so they can have an idea.
okay, well, my name is Mat Fraser. That's Matt with one T, and Fraser with an S, not a Z. There's two of us in the world that have got a kind of public profile. There's me, and the other, similarly named Mat Fraser, is the fourth fittest man in the world. He's one of those guys that does like these muscular competitions, and he always ranks in the first four. A couple of years ago, he was the fittest man in the world. When I found this out, I thought it was hilarious because I thought at some point he's going to get a communication that was meant for me, and vice versa, and we should mess with the people, So I said, hey, isn't that fun? We've got the same name. We're probably going to get... But he didn't want to know. So I thought, all right. This is about 5 years ago. I thought, all right. So just recently, I got, please, could I have a signed photo of Mat Fraser? We are running a gym in Switzerland, and our best person has just won that. And I'm like, it's happened. It's finally happened. So I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'll send you a photo. So I just sent them a photo of me going, well done in the gym. And, when they receive it, they'll get onto that guy, and he'll think, should have been friends with the other Matt. So I'm Mat Fraser with the short arms, not with the bulging biceps. And I'm an actor and a writer. And although I don't really do it so much now, I have been for the last 20 years also a live performer, short format live performer, hosting a lot of burlesque at Slipper Room and all the places around town in New York, and also been one of the raunchy performers at the Box.
Ooh.
But now mostly I do sort of more mainstream acting and writing now. So that's what I do. That's who I am.
Nice.
Oh, I'm in my 50s, and I'm an Aquarius.
Excellent.
When's your birthday?
28th of January. What about you?
I'm the January 31st.
All right.
So I know.
So we both know that Aquarians are A, the best, and B, the most humble star sign.
Well, the one thing is we're the humanitarians of all the star signs. Everybody, we get along with everybody. Do we
Yeah.
like everybody is a different story, though. We can get along with them.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Don't worry about my list. I only have my list because I smoke a fair amount of pot, and sometimes I just forget shit that I planned, and I didn't want to forget anything.
Oh, no,
No,
we
no,
love
we-
lists. Love lists.
Love lists. We love notes. We love when our guests come prepared because we hate when we interview them and we send them the questions and they're like, No, I don't have anything to say about that. And then like months later, they're like, oh my God, I had this story. And it's like, well, it's too late now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, look at that. When I achieved autonomy, 1968. Well, it started, so I'll finish. So, like a lot of disabled kids, I learned to do things probably a couple of years after the able-bodied kids, like tie my first shoelace, get my swimsuit on and off when it was wet, unaided, things like that. They take a little bit more negotiating because the world's not designed for us. And so because I can't reach my butt with my hand, I was working out how to do that. Now, I've got a lot of thalidomide friends. Now, I've got little arms because of a famous birth control, morning sickness drug called thalidomide, which gives me kind of flipper hands and little arms. So me and there's a whole load of other flipper-handed people. We've all, of course, pooled our knowledge, our poo knowledge, and everybody has their various techniques. And they were myriad, I'm here to tell you. There were sticks, there was wriggling, there was weird bottom walking, there was all sorts of things. But now, of course, the Japanese toilet is such a sort of global feature, faucet, that with its wonderful jet and drying facility, that the oddness of us short-handed people's techniques is sort of reduced because everybody goes, oh, fuck it, I'll just get, oh, what the hell, I'll just go and get a Japanese toilet. But in 1968, I had worked out a system that was perhaps not the best because it involved me walking with my shitty ass to the living room where there were some stairs, placing the toilet paper on one of the stairs, sitting kind of sideways on the stair and wriggling, and then looking at the result and thinking, well, that's done it.
Wow.
It was more of a super spreader event than anything else. But I did perfect, and often when I'm going manual, shall we say, a technique that's not too dissimilar to that. And now you guys who wipe and you put the paper in your hand and then you put your hand on the shitty ass and you wipe it away and you're all convinced, I guess, because that's the way you all do it, that that's the best way to do it. I'm not so sure it is. The nippet gland is the sphincter. It's a very sensitive and clever beast. And once you've established your technique, you can get as clean a butthole from the wiping with any technique, I think. And so I've got an alternative technique that doesn't always involve me putting the paper in my hand. Sometimes I use the toilet seat. When I'm out in the field, like that one time in Thailand, where one of your questions is, what's the worst toilet you've ever been in? The pissy hole in the floor with no toilet paper was a challenge to this diarrheaed, fresh in age individual. But, I learned, what I learned was I took all my clothes off because I thought this could get messy. Found a banana leaf or two, or leaves akin to that, laid them over my heel, and then kind of sat on my heel. You've got to remember, I didn't want to touch the floor with anything other than my feet because it was all pissy. And so it was a real balancing situation. But I managed it,
So like a really
have
deep
been
squat.
times when I've let smears of shits have gone places. Well, of course I have. Of course I have. But that, so that was my first time in 1968. And now, some years later, I've perfected my own technique. Although, when push comes to shove, I think the Japanese toilet may get installed at some point in the next 10 years. I mean, why not, eh?
Yeah.
Have you ever had one?
I've never used it. I think Ellen has.
Yeah.
Yes, I have used a Toto, but Dave and I are both bidet fans. We both have those snap-on bidets. I also have a bio bidet, which has the air blowing and everything to it. So that's another one that's an attachment.
Yeah.
So yes, we are huge fans of it and totally preach washing over wiping. So,
Yeah.
but
And those European toilets where they've got like a big layout, and then there's the toilet, and then next to the toilet there's a bidet. Oh my God, or bidets, you say, especially in French hotels and stuff. Oh my God, they're so luxurious.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you? And the other thing, it's also good if you just jerked off or something. The bidet's great for loads of things. Sometimes you ain't got time for the full wash. You just need to do your pits and bits.
Mm-hmm.
The bidet's perfect for that. right?
Completely.
I agree. I mean, it took me, like, when I discovered this bidet, I was like, it just changed my life. It really, it's a bummer when I go other places and there's no bidet. And it's just like, it sounds bougie, but it's like everyone should just use water to wipe their ass or wash their ass with. It just makes life a lot easier. And, the other bits and bobs and things of that nature.
Right.
But it's actually, a bidet is not bougie. It's like the way we should be doing it.
Oh, I agree.
In Europe, I mean, it's considered normal.
Yeah.
I just meant like here, like people are like bidet.
But number two, like when we're going through environmental changes and we have to be more sustainable, it's actually, we use less water spraying it with your butthole with just straight water than they do to make a roll of toilet paper. A roll of toilet paper uses gallons and gallons and gallons between growing the tree, pulping the tree, processing it into paper. So,
it's a mess.
Squeezing a little bit of water on there is more environmentally friendly.
And I personally just feel, for me, it's like you just feel cleaner.
Yeah.
Like you're not sitting there just wiping for like God knows how long.
Yeah, no, it's important to feel clean. Yes.
So your techniques
first off the list. Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. So your techniques involve a lot of squatting and then obviously alternative. You have a lot of alternatives.
Control has been a huge part.
Yeah.
Yes. And so one time when I had ACL reconstruction, which is my knee blew out playing soccer,
Whoa.
I got 3 months, on one leg. That was fucking challenging.
Of
Oh, I
course.
can't imagine.
I really knew I was disabled after the operation because suddenly I couldn't even get into the bathtub. In my old house, in my old life, we used to have a shower that was in a bathtub, so you have to step over the bathtub. That alone, and you think, okay, well, I'll sit on it and then I'll swivel. But imagine doing that with short arms where you have nothing to hold on to when you're doing the swiveling. Suddenly, I was like, wow, this is really challenging. But, I have got lots of friends, disabled friends, who have somebody who wipes their ass for them. And their quality of life is no less. It's just a question of getting used to it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And any of this could happen to any of us, And we mustn't think of it, I would assert, we mustn't think of it as like a terrible horror, because it might happen. And
Completely.
We've got to just get the hell on with it.
Completely.
Yeah.
I had a friend who broke both his arms.
Oh, there you go.
And then he was just like, for like 3-4 months, just in a double cast with his arms, like, had a little spike stick on the side. And his mom had to like wipe his ass for like that whole time. So it's, it's stuff like that, like in a matter of seconds can happen to you. And then what are you going to do?
We do it, don't we? I mean, when you have to wipe the ass of somebody that's with you that needs their ass wiped, you just do it.
Yeah.
You don't really think about it. You just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, Matt, can I ask, in childhood memories, when you were potty trained, you had a parent that was wiping your butt, but then did it get to a point where they were like, we got to figure out a way you can wipe your own butt?
Well, no, that was that momentous day in 1968 when I was on the step, the aforementioned side stance on the step, heard the front door going and shouted, Dad, I can wipe my ass.
That is amazing.
So you came up with the technique.
I did. Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, bottom line there is neither my mother or my father had my arms, so they could second guess it as much as they want. I was the one who's going to have to be in the room and work that damn thing out.
Completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But, I think it's good. And it's good to talk about it too, because it's a real taboo. Not just in terms of talking about poo, but in talking about disabled people and poo and abilities and stuff like that. It's good to break it all down. It's just a load of rubbish.
The more we know.
Well, yeah, and it's also, this world is pretty much designed for like people that don't have, abilities that are a little different. It's just like, everything you go into, like a bathroom, a toilet, public places, spaces, they're not designed. They're only designed for one particular person. Especially
Yeah, sorry, Dave.
No, that's okay. No, go on. Sorry.
But if you ever have the chance to interview a Canadian comedian, little person, called Tanya Lee Davis, she's absolutely filthy. She has singly the best shit story of all time of any human being ever.
Okay.
Please introduce us.
Tony Lee Davis?
Tanya.
Oh, Tanya, sorry.
Tanya Lee Davis.
Okay.
She's very rude. And she's a little person. A lot of her comedy is about being a little person. But also she used to be a swinger. But her poo story just literally wipes the floor with all of her stories.
It's the king and queen of all poo stories.
Yeah.
Talking about stories, let's get into some, Matt.
Okay. Do we go chronological?
Whatever you like.
Yeah, you could give us.
Okay, one time I was on tour in Italy with a rock and roll band I was drumming in 1985. And it was all roadside cafeteria and truck stops. And as you might imagine in Italy, that's just pasta, and more pasta with some gnocchi and then some pasta, maybe some potatoes. So I realized I hadn't shat for 4 days. And we were in a restaurant and I couldn't think of putting anything into my body without expelling something from my body first. So I ordered, and then I was like, I really got to do something. So I went and I squeezed and I squeezed and I squeezed, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I squeezed and I squeezed, and eventually I felt something depart. And I was like, oh my God, finally. And I turned around and it was about 3 inches long. And it was like a rolled up cigarette, not a joint, a rolled up cigarette. It was the thinnest turd you've ever seen in your life. That is the story, I'm afraid. What happened was, being a young man and slightly drunk and a bit of an asshole, I rushed back into the restaurant, announced this fact, and insisted that at least 2 of them came to corroborate my story. And made them come back into the bowl to look, and indeed, yes, it was that small. We've done Thailand.
That sounds like a nightmare, by the way. Just the fact of like squatting like that and just having to be in a whole toilet. I couldn't even.
Well, you hear about it, right? And then like one day, fuck, this is it. And there's 2 little footprints, raised, ribbed footprints on either side of it. And you're like, wow, how am I going to do this? Balance was a huge thing for me because that's why the clothes had to come off, because I couldn't have pants down right by my knees.
No.
And ensure touch and direct hit, and just fucking a nightmare. Yeah.
I hate that about squat toilets. I feel like even the porcelain ones, you just like spraying stuff all over the place. It's a mess. They're the worst.
Yeah, it's precarious situation.
And yet, I guess half the world has them, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
Some people swear by them.
Not me.
I swore at one.
Yeah. It's some choice words.
Yeah, we just did a film. We just made a horror film, Party Doll. Watch out for it, guys.
Excellent.
Because it's non-union and I'm SAG, Screen Actors Guild, there's a nasty law that they have that if you do any non-union thing, you can get struck off if you get a fee. So we made it ourselves, and we're going to have to put it out for free just so I can get around the law.
Right.
Because I don't want to get struck off. It's called Party Doll. It's vicious, and it's more in the Saw or Hostel school of
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Anyway, we were filming in this derelict house, and not filming, I went upstairs and looked around. It's Edwardian, I suppose it was from 1910, 1920. Beautiful house. But I found a toilet, and as I approached, I was like, is this what I... Sure enough, there was a turd in the toilet with paper, with poo marks on the paper around the toilet. And I peered in because there's no smell. There was no smell at all. And there was a couple of flies and bugs in the room, and they weren't going anywhere near it, which is most unusual. Then I realized this fucking poo was shut out like 20 years ago. Because that house has been derelict since the 90s, right? And it is a mummified poo.
Oh.
Right? Perfectly intact. Art department would have been happy if we were filming it.
Yeah, right.
and yet nothing. No smell, no flies. It was really weird.
That is
My God.
that's like when they have the McDonald's hamburger and you just leave it out.
It's a vintage shit.
It's super vintage shit. But it's like that thing they do with the McDonald's hamburger. They just leave it out and like nothing happens to it and doesn't disintegrate. It just like looks perfectly intact.
Same happens with a tub of margarine.
Oh.
You leave margarine out, it never goes off, and flies never go near it.
Oh.
Ugh.
Because it's not food. It's a byproduct of the oil industry.
Yeah. Margarine's gross.
Anyway. Well, now, in the mid-90s, I was in London. I was with a filmmaker friend of mine, and we were co-writing films, and he was like, do you want to see my new short film? What is it? It's called The Shit Collector. It's about a real man. It's about a real man. So there was a real guy in the early 90s in London who advertised in mostly gay, but not always exclusively gay, back pages who wanted to buy people's turds.
Whoa.
And the deal was that they had to freeze their turd and put it in a condom and then cold pack it in like cold storage in one of those carry boxes.
Mm-hmm.
And he would meet them, ascertain that the turd was, a veritable turd. Hey, you take it back and label it Michael, Alan, David, whatever, Ellen. And then he'd keep them in the freezer. And he got his stims from lubing up and choosing tonight's turd from the freezer selection and going, I think I'll have Ellen's tonight. And then he would put the turds up his arse until they went squidgy again. Then he put them back in the freezer.
No. 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 No.
Wait. This is a movie based on a true story?
It is, yes. That actually happened. It was a court case. And my friend was like, I have to make a film of this,
We have to cover this.
Okay, back up. Court case? How did it even get to court? Wait, why?
Poop court.
Do you know what? I don't know, but I should ask Rick Lander. He's a BBC director now. He was actually one of the two people that invented video scratching in 1980.
Oh, wow.
Aside the point. Yes, the shit collector. And I always thought, I was so glad because I thought this story is more poignant on this event than it is on most events. But it's amazing anyway. But here, it's like,
This is like my this is like the Oscar for our world. I got to see this film. Also, I got to read about this story. This is insane.
Yes.
Oh, that is so.
Can you imagine? I know.
No.
That's like some kink, right?
That is like, people think like, hey, like you ever meet someone who's like kind of like, hey man, I'm really out there, which they're just that they're bullshitting. But like that guy was really out there. I mean, that's just like, I am a complete boring person compared to that man.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, I can't find The Shit Collector as a movie.
Well, it was a short, and I don't believe it ever got like distribution. We would have to go to Rick and say, hey, did you ever digitize that film? If so,
Oh my God.
put it on YouTube. I will. I'll ask him.
That would be the
Yes,
thing for
please.
our film festival.
But I do think it's funny when I Googled it, The Tax Collector, that new Shia LaBeouf movie came up, and that seems like a real shitty movie to me. So
Well, that could be a 3-word review. Just the shit collector. From the, like Spinal Tap have Tap Sandwich, and they get a 2-word review. Shit sandwich.
Yes. Oh, I love that movie.
So when you with your partner, well, David, I know you have a partner. I don't know, Ellen. Do you live with anybody?
yes.
Okay, so when you describe your poo to your partner, we have a rule that I took from a celebrity whose name I've forgotten, which is don't ever poo in front of your partner. It's just a double no. We all pee in front of our partner once we've been together long enough, but never poo. Can't be done. Shut the door. No. That's personal. Everybody else is different. But sometimes we're like, how was it in there? And we've taken to just making a noise instead of using words. So you might be like, or whatever. And they're like, oh God, yeah, we all know those days. But sometimes, more often than not, my announcement will be one of, a resounding success because of aforementioned vegetarian status. And so I'll be like, it was nice. We've started just making noises, onomatopoeic descriptions of the expulsion.
They may have to use some of those as audio drops now.
Yeah.
For the show.
Dave and I have talked about, though, that we live in a one-shitter apartment with our significant others. So we have both pooed in front of our significant others, not by choice, but by absolute need.
Yeah, I would say I broke that rule because I was into that, like not taking a shit in front of my partner for a long time. But then like after a while, I just logistically, I'm like, I have to go. And if I don't go, I'm going to either shit myself or somewhere on the floor.
You don't have a door?
We have a door.
No, this is like when they're
When they're in there taking a shower, that kind of thing.
there's that classic British advert, because British adverts are very different to American adverts. So there's a lady, and she's, probably about 40 or something, and she's obviously had a hard day, and she's lighting a few candles as the steam of the bath is filling up. And she's taking some time. This is her time. You can tell, and she lights lots of candles and puts them around the side of the bed. Then she slinks into the bubble bath. She's just drifting off. Then, bam! The door's flung open, and her husband, who's carrying a newspaper, goes, "Sorry, love, can't wait." Just trundles over, and it's you hear and it cuts to her face of long-suffering silence.
Yeah.
It's very funny.
That's what I'm going to use with Tiny. I'm going to say, "Sorry, love, can't wait." Oh, that's great.
Actually, my partner today, he was trying to leave for work, but he hadn't pooed yet. And he was like pacing. He's like, "I can't go to work until I poo. I can't."
Yeah.
And then he does this thing where literally if I say I'm getting in the shower, he has to shit. So I literally just bent down and talked to his belly button. And I said, "I'm getting in the shower. I'm getting in the shower." And within 30 seconds, he ran into shit. Totally Pavlovian dog response.
Wow,
Nice.
that's fantastic. Speaking of dogs, so one time I was young and I was staying at my cousin's, and I'd been put in the bedroom with the baby because they just had a baby not long, and they had a dog, and I'd woken up, I kept my eyes shut, and I could hear the mum come in and do some stuff for the baby, but I just wasn't sure what it was. I rolled over 5 minutes later to see a shitty nappy on the bed next to me, completely empty, and the dog just leaped on with both front legs up on the bed, leaning in, just licking the shit. And I opened my eyes, and the dog was looking directly at me as it was licking the shit off the nappy. And it was an image I will never, ever fucking forget as long as I live.
Oh,
It made me retch. It was disgusting.
it's making me retch, and wasn't even there.
That is, oh my God. No, that's disgusting.
My cat right now has a tapeworm. I saw it hanging out of its butthole. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is when you have multiple pets, you just then have to assume all of them have tapeworms because they lick each other's buttholes. And I had to yell at my vet, like, why can't you can just see one of them? Give me pills for all of them because they're all butt lickers in here. They're tiny little perverts who love licking each other's asses. So
that's how that's their version of a 10-minute conversation, though, isn't it? And it's like checking somebody's Facebook feed.
I completely agree. And I'm okay with them licking each other's buttholes until I see a tapeworm. Like,
oh, I'm so glad I haven't to deal with that. Oh my God, I would lose my mind if I saw that. I gotta say, Ellen is pretty amazing with animal butt stuff. Like, she does stuff that, like, I would lose my mind if I saw. Like, I would seriously get that shivering, almost like verge of passing out, and she just does it.
Oh yeah, my dog has really impacted anal glands, and I will shove my finger right up there and squeeze them out.
Disgusting.
Wow. Okay, I see what you mean, though.
Yeah.
With latex, I do it with latex gloves on. I don't do it barehanded. I wouldn't raw dog my dog, but.
I mean, I didn't think that. I never thought that, but then you're like, "Oh, let's go bare knuckle. I don't care."
Right. What else? Well, of course, I've got the amazing bit of writing that I found from the 1500s, but I guess we'll get to that in a second. Oh yeah, the first time I ever saw anyone take a shit, I was in the hospital. I just had, I think, my adenoids out. You know, it's a small operation you have for your ears when you're a kid. And they put me in a weird ward. They put me in the Flotsam and Jetsam ward, the detritus ward, but they didn't know what to do with them ward. And opposite me was a man that was undergoing psychiatric falsities. And we talked to people that weren't there and stuff. And one night I just heard him say, "Nurse, nurse." And the nurse didn't come because they were bored with him and his voices. And he was on all fours facing away from me. And he just pulled down, he took down his pajama bottoms to his knees and then just shat. Very slow. And I watched, again, it was directly opposite me. The turd just slide out of his ass. It's real detail. And I'd never seen that before. Probably since, but
How old were you?
10.
Oh my lord.
That's shocking.
I actually at the time I was just worried that they weren't coming to look after him because I knew that a man shitting in his own bed in the hospital is something that shouldn't be going on.
Oh, yeah.
A bedpan should have been produced or something,
Yes.
Oof.
Oh my goodness.
You've got some stories. That is like, I would freak out if I saw that. Oh.
What were some of the questions on the on your list? I remember them.
Well, our first one is, what brand of toilet paper do you use, and do you have it on the roll over under, or like you might be just doing a bidet? You said
no, hugely important. I have your most quilted one. I'm not as au fait with the branding as you are because I'm not from America and I have to keep all the English brands in mind. But I think it's Charmian, the one with the bear.
Yeah.
It's like triple quilted. That shit is not going to come apart. No matter how rigorous you are.
Not on my watch.
No. I'm sorry. What did you just say before?
And do you put it on the roll over or under?
Well, when I was 13, on Maine University campus at the world's first World Vegetarian Congress, because my mum had taken me, and I was just one of the kids running around. But occasionally I would do a thing. In the I guess it was like a dorm house, and it felt like a hotel because I was 13, but I guess it was where some section of students would have been normally staying because it was during the summer holidays. The Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh was staying there.
Whoa.
He was the man of the Sannyasin, or as they were known, the Orange people, the free love people from the 70s. Okay? And he was holding a press conference. And as I walked past the press conference behind them to go to my room, somebody asked him, where should you put the toilet paper? And he said, like a flash, always at the front. That's the yoga way of having toilet paper. So there we had it. I mean, at that point, I was like, well, I've been told. I also find it easier to get when it comes towards you. I don't like it hugging the wall when it unravels. I like it away from the wall when it unravels.
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
That's okay. I like it under.
Why?
There's a bunch of reasons. Well, actually, now, I mean, it is really turning into like, I just don't, excuse me, I will say 100% with like complete truth. I lately have been just whatever the way I just drop it on the roll. That's the way it is. But normally I like it under. I like it under.
If anybody's put it the wrong way around, I change it.
Oh, Ellen does that. Yeah. You people are insane.
What's insane, Dave, is that you keep lying to every over we get on the show.
I'm not lying anymore.
We have under, you high-five them. You need to stand by your convictions.
I'm just saying, like, yes, for this purpose of this show, yes, I am under. But just outside of the show, I just don't even care anymore. But yes.
It's making up excuses.
I'm not making up excuses.
It makes it a better show if we have argument and debate over this.
All right. I'm under. I think aesthetically it looks better. I hate that when it's on top. I feel like if I touch it, if I look at it the wrong way, the thing just starts cascading down like a waterfall. I can't stand that. Also,
I'll give you that. There is the cascade factor. Yeah.
When at the time when Tiny and I adopted these two little kittens like 18 years ago, we were really nervous about them fucking with the toilet paper, so we started putting it, under, so they would have a harder time with it, and it just became like the thing. So
no, that's understandable.
But those are my arguments. I just think the over thing, like people get so like they have a lot of thoughts about it. There's a lot of hard staunchness.
We just bought a toilet roll holder that's an elephant holding the toilet roll in between its two front trunk feet. Feet.
Wow.
You have to take a picture and send us.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
And the other one I just bought, which is a beautiful brushed stainless steel, has a little table on the top for you to put your mug of coffee and or your cell phone.
Fancy.
That's smart.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to installing that. Not only so you can obviously there are people whose job used to be to assess people's health by looking at their turd, right? Stool inspection was a huge part of medicine, wasn't it, in the olden days? And of course in the royal courts every royal stool would be inspected to make sure that the royal in question was healthy. And there was a royal bottom wiper. And that was considered one of the most prestigious jobs in the court because you were, sorry for this pun, you were privy to their innermost thoughts sometimes.
Oh.
And so you held a lot of state secrets if you wiped the royal ass. Now, that job, amazingly, I think only finished about like just after the First World War or something.
Are you serious?
Really, yeah.
Wow.
Probably the Queen's father.
The
had
Queen's
a
father
royal
would have, yes.
wiper.
The
Yeah.
Queen will have memories.
Wow.
She's like, let's bring that back. She's like, wiper?
Well, now with so many people unemployed, she could probably, you know,
I mean,
probably get a royal bottom wiper, but I think they probably go Japanese, don't they?
yeah,
Fucking
at this
palace.
point. Although the benefits would probably be pretty good, I imagine. The royal ass wiper would probably have some pretty solid medical benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But sometimes
boy,
not so solid. Maybe sometimes a little liquidy.
Or after one of those banquets.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
That's when the hazard pay kicks in. Oh, my
But,
God.
in terms of, I can often smell through my poo what I ate.
Oh.
Right, because I think if I was to smell anybody else's poo, all I would smell would be the poo. But because it's me, I sort of smell through it. And I can smell what I ate. And furthermore, I can smell what weed I smoked.
Whoa.
Wow. That
Like,
is
with
impressive.
the really strong weed that you get nowadays with the 20% THC crystal fucking sticky icky shit. That stuff that pervades, you know. And sometimes you're like, damn, I've just taken a shit and it all smells like weed. It's so weird. Do you
That's
not find-
amazing.
Maybe
And you're smoking it. You're not eating it as edibles, are you?
No, I haven't done an edible smell test, but I will.
No,
do.
but I'm saying like the fact
Smoking.
that you're smoking it,
It's
it's going
impressive.
into your lungs, and then that smell is adhering into your gut, into your poo. That's a lot.
That's
Yeah.
impressive. That should be on America's Got Talent or Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah. Well, no. An aside, Britain's Got Talent is just about to have their final for this year, and I tell you, there's a black comedian. He's getting a lot of hate. He's fucking brilliant. He is the best thing you have ever seen. You have got
Oh, I
to
gotta
check.
I'll check it out. I'll check him out.
He's the comedian in the semi-final of Britain's Got Talent. It's a 7-minute section. It's on Twitter.
Okay.
It's really funny. It's now. I've never heard such contemporary material.
Excellent.
Really.
Okay.
Anyway, but we digress. That would be an act. That
actually
would be a
talking
once-only act.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to the
Talking
final with a poo act. Anyway, go on.
Talking about how you can smell what you ate through your
Yeah.
poo. I sometimes have that with my farts. Like I could eat a piece of cheese and 30 minutes later my fart smells exactly like that blue cheese. Like it just goes straight through me. And I've had other people around me like, "Oh my God, that smells exactly like the thing you just ate." And I'm like, "I know, my farts are so direct like that."
Wow. That's a skill that should be utilized by the state somehow.
Yeah. That's like your superpower.
I think it's because I'm an Aquarius and we are an air sign.
Maybe.
I'm winking my eye right
thank
now. I like to blow that air out my ass.
So,
Oh, my God.
Yeah, please hit me with another couple of questions, and then I'll do a couple more on the list.
Have you ever? Okay, our favorite question. If you have to go, Bristol number 7, hot and furious diarrhea coming out of your ass, and there's no toilet in sight, do you shit in your pants or do you go somewhere on the ground?
Well, what do you mean? Do I go somewhere on the ground? I mean, is that public or private?
It could
You
be
get to
anything,
pick the
really.
Location. But there's zero toilet. You don't have a choice.
Well, if I
Or-
can possibly pull down my pants and underwear and crouch, I would probably rather the shit ended up not in my pants.
Agreed.
Because if it did, then I'd have to take off my pants,
Yes.
wipe with the rest of the pants, and sort of walk away from the problem. I would be naked,
True.
and which in some parts of Fort Tilden might be permissible, but not where I live, on Grand Street and the Lower East Side.
No, I can't imagine.
There is that rule that you can walk around in New York topless, because that used to be that blonde, grey-haired lady that would exercise her right to be topless. Do you remember she used to walk around the Lower East Side, topless lady?
I never saw her.
Yeah, but as for,
Bottomless
naked from below the waist, and with the feeble excuse, I had to shit myself. That's not going to work.
Yeah. I think, you always want to choose floor if you can. Because nothing will ruin your day like a shitty pair of pants.
But the biggest question is, has either of those happened to you? Have you pooed your pants, or have you had to choose the floor?
Well, I've sharted.
Yes.
But I haven't knowingly gone, oh, well, there's nothing for it. I'll just have to do it now. I've always been trying for something better. And then something inadvertent has happened.
Right.
It can be pretty scary.
Wait, Ellen, say that again?
I said none of us choose to shit our pants.
No.
But we do choose to either it happens in our pants because we're in someplace very public and we don't have any other choice, or we choose to run and find someplace to squat down, pull our pants down, and shit on the ground or the floor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. In the courts of Versailles, in the courts of Versailles for Louis the 16th, the palace in Versailles, there was this famous corridor where the courtesans and all the the people that were allowed to hang out in their little circles would parade up and down. It was kind of sort of mini socializing promenade area, if you will. But the women would just take a standing shit. They might squat a little and widen their stance so as not to besmirch the inner of their thighs as it left their asses. But they would just lift their skirt and just move away. Just walk up.
Oh.
And someone would rush over and immediately scoop up the poo in the metal tray and rush off and put it somewhere else. And that's what happened in the court of France.
Woo!
And what year is this?
I don't know. It was Let Them Eat Cake, Marie Antoinette era.
Right.
Oh, these dirty Frenchmen.
Well,
those are the women.
Because they always have a reputation of being dirty in that department from the English. But I always thought that was just straight racism as a result of the 100 Years' War. Like anything the French do is dirty or something. But
if you're shitting on the floor,
right?
There's no other level of dirty you can get to.
I don't think so.
No, that's pretty dirty.
I got to shit when I'm standing.
That's like the gold standard for dirty.
Especially if you're a rich person being like, I'm too bothered to go poop in the toilet. I'm going to just shit right here. Somebody's going to pick it up for me.
Life is pretty good though if you could just be like, I was going to take a shit here. Someone will clean it up and not think about it. Like you're doing pretty well in life.
Yeah.
Like you can't be bothered with like just going to the bathroom. You're like, I'm just going to shit standing.
In the medieval courts, they reasoned that the shitters, which are basically there'll be an outer bench with a hole in it, and your shit will just basically go straight into the moat.
Yeah,
the obviously quite essential given the time. But then a couple of attacks happened where the people, that's how they gained entry to the castle. And so there was a certain year after which there were always spikes pointing down to prevent people coming up. But you're like, who will go, I know, I'll crawl up through the fucking toilet. I'll get into their house by crawling through the shittiest, horriblest part of their castle. I suppose the person who was told to on point of death.
Yeah, it's just like either do this or die.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but that's how desperate they are. I mean, it's like Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Like he was so desperate to get out of that jail that he was willing to crawl through that sewer pipe.
Yeah.
Like if you're that desperate during medieval times to kill that lord or lady, of course, crawling through the shit is the last of your problems.
Yeah, and I imagine back then everything probably just smelled like shit. Like everything just smelled. Like you're probably like, man, not so bad.
Yeah, I always think, oh my God, did people go down on each other in those days?
They must have.
But they did, and it was just relative. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know what? This doesn't smell as bad as I thought it was going to smell.
Well, and probably you smell that bad as well.
Yeah. It's like,
so it's relative. Like, so, I think, all that cleanliness, sort of hygiene stuff, I think it's all relative. As long as you're the same as the other people there, You could all have a.
If you transported someone from that era to now, they'd be like, these people, I don't get it. There's no smell. There's no odor.
Yeah.
You can prove
Josephine, that famous Napoleon telling Josephine not to wash for the last 3 weeks before he came home.
Oh.
Yeah. He liked
I'm
her
good.
little riper.
I'd be like, I'm good. You're.
Yeah. No, carry on washing.
Yeah, please.
But when I went to the early hippie festivals, the very early ones in the early 80s, toilets would often be called the shit pit. And it would just be a huge pit dug, over which would be a bench with some holes in it. They'd make rudimentary wooden balsa wood walls. You'd see the feet of the people next to you, but you wouldn't see the expression on their face as they were dispatched. And then you'd hear a long, big, loud plop. You'd be like, huh? 1, 2, plop.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
it would be a good 10, 12 feet.
Oh.
It's a deep trench.
At the end of a 3-day festival, this fucking shit pit was a multicolored brown melange of intense disease, as you can imagine. And one time at the Albion Tree Fair in 1982, a baby fell in the shit pit.
What?
Right, yeah.
How
actually,
why?
I don't know.
Some
I have no
dirty
idea
hippie. Hey, man, hang on right here, bro.
A guy jumped in to save it.
Oh.
Right? He saved the baby, but he died from disease complications in hospital.
Oh, my God. This is so gross.
I know.
Stink it.
Wait,
Yeah, I used to look through the hole sometimes thinking, no.
what happened to the baby?
Baby was fine.
What the fuck?
The baby's like,
God.
Yeah, weird, right?
the baby's like, oh, I thought I shit on myself. It's someone else's shit. That is.
So,
Oh.
go on. Hit me up, David.
No. I was just saying, that's just so. The poor man died. Also, I gotta say, like, and not, if people like hippie music, I just like, that's another reason why I don't like hippies. just that whole scene just seems like it's just like, hey, dude, just go in a shit pit.
I wonder what the eulogy was like at the guy's funeral.
Like Earth Biscuit was
Angel Dave was a nice guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
He was always holding.
I mean,
he was always
a hero
after.
for saving the baby.
He was a total
but-
hero.
Yeah.
There's like a picture of him, like, next is like that on those easels, like a big giant photo next to the casket. It's like all covered in brown. I'm sorry.
What that kid is now, because that was 1982.
That's a shit kid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
my absolute worst poo story also involves a festival. It was the
Oh,
year
Lord.
2007, and I'd been asked to host the Lost Vegas second stage. Lost Vegas were a group of crazy, mad party people who produced wonderful parties that eventually got to take over a field in Glastonbury and would turn it into the pretend like Palladium or Talk of the Town. So they make it look really West End or Broadway in the fucking muddy field in the middle of nowhere, made out of wood and paint. These are the sort of things where guys would usually be wearing a tutu, Dr. Martin boots, have the word fuck painted in orange neon on their chest and be tripping, right? That's what we're looking at here.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm there.
one
I'm
night
there.
They were like, one night they wanted to do like a traditional cabaret, and would I host it? And that night, with the Guinness Book of Records, were going to come down, and there was going to be the world's biggest makeout, and everyone on every field at 10 p.m. was going to do a makeout. And I chose to sing Elvis's "Can't Help Falling in Love with You," while actually on the shoulders of a guy in a tutu and Dr. Martens, and we all had a lovely time. 10 minutes earlier, the show was about to start, but I needed to poo. Was like pacing outside. It was day 3 of the festival, and a day 3 of any festival is an unpleasant toilet experience, no matter where you go, even in the VIP backstage area that I didn't have access to, by the way. Anyway, so at that time, what was really popular was natural toilets. So they wouldn't use chemicals. They'd use some kind of natural filtration system. And there was this toilet that was, you had to step up on these wooden pallets to get to this fucking toilet. And it was the only one that was near enough to the tent for me to go. And it was like in the open. And there was no way I was going to poo in the open. But everyone was gone because everyone was doing a show and it was backstage. And there were 3 stages and everyone was in the venue. I was like, tell the DJ, play one more song. I've got, So I rushed out. Now, when I got to the bowl, the mound of shit was higher than the bowl. So the top of the mountain in the middle of the bowl was a good 4 inches higher than the fucking bowl of the toilet.
Oh my God.
Okay, so I was like, what am I going to do? And I had on my sparkly jacket and nice shirt, dress pants and dress shoes because I was about to host a cabaret. But I needed to go. I really, really needed to go. So I pulled my trousers down. I tested the bowl for strength. Thankfully, it was sturdy as hell. And squatted on the bowl as if my feet were on the footprints of the hole in the wall. Okay. I think I used a stick that I was holding to make sure I didn't fall backwards. And I had to hold myself above the mound of poo to release my turds upon it. I think I got a clean expulsion. I was lucky. I'd eaten very oily food the day before.
Whoa.
And it had come out, and I just instinctively knew for not wiping, I was as clean as it could be.
Nice.
I thought, no one's going to have sex with me tonight. All I got to do is this fucking show. And I basically pulled up I jumped off, pulled up my thing, turned round and leant forward to look at it. And that was my mistake because I was wearing my little leather holsters. I've got these little leather holsters that each pocket sits as sort of rib height. And my phone slid out on top of the fucking mound of shit. So my mobile phone, my cell phone, was on top of the mound of shit. And the song, just as I had the extra song the DJ was playing, finished. Right? So I was like, in a really bad place. So I don't know how I did this because the laws of physics dictate that this is impossible. But I wedged my left foot at the bottom of the front of the grounding of where the bowl was, lifted my right leg into the air to counterbalance, and then leant forward as far as I could. Either of you would have just picked up your phone with your naturally invented long arm that you were given by nature, using your thumbs to pick it up. I had to go a good extra 8 inches in lean to get to that place. And it was literally on a hair's breadth as to whether I was going to fall forward into the shit with no way to break my fall or manage to get my phone. I got my phone. I did get my phone. Of course, it was smeared with shit. And I got a load of toilet paper.
Your own shit.
Yeah.
No, not just my own shit. I got the toilet paper and wiped it as best I could. And of course, nowadays there would have been hand sanitizer or something to spray it with and to make it safe. But I just made sure it was. I wiped, made sure it was dry, flopped it back in my pocket, and went straight on stage. Went, ladies and gentlemen, just straight onto the gig.
That is a true professional, by the way. That's total pro move right there. I would have been like, show's over. Sorry.
While
I can't believe it happened.
While you were telling that story, I kept playing in my head, on top of Old Smoky. I just kept envisioning this huge mound and more mound rolling down it.
You are the second guest we've had that has dropped something in a toilet at a festival. We had Ellen's friend Drew, who's a drummer, dropped his VIP backstage badge into the toilet, and he said,
"Terrible."
Yeah, and it was so far back. He had to go. It was like a real pain in the ass to get another one, and where they were in comparison to where they had to go was like so far that he's like, "Fuck it."
Yeah. Well, Glastonbury. I mean, that's 25 fields, over half a mile from one side to the other.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it was mud. It was one of those mud festivals, so everyone had boots. It was one of the painful. You always have a really sore ass at the end of the mud Glastonbury because when you have to pull your mud,
pull your
foot out of the sticky mud and the buttock and hamstring tension that force that takes. By the end of a day of that, you're tired. And here's the other great festival trick for shitting at a festival when you just can't take the shit pit and the mound is too high. You okay? I can't do this with you here.
I am
absolutely can't do it with you here.
Wow.
I just can't. I don't know why.
I I didn't ask if you could or if you couldn't.
Oh my
Hi,
God.
Guys, I'm just,
Hey, Julie.
I gotta go.
Hi, Julie.
That's all I'm saying. No.
Alan and Dave saying hi, Julie.
Well, hi there. See how he talks to me? See how nasty he is?
Well, it's being recorded.
That's love.
I can't hear you.
Is everything okay? Why have you got to go?
I've got for the tarps. Sorry to interrupt you guys. I really
Will you
apologize.
keep your phone with you and I'll give you a call?
Yeah, and Neelam. I might have a girl date with Neelam, so I just wanted to let you know that.
Okay, cool. All right, baby. Love you. We actually employed this at the first festival me and Julie ever went to.
Oh. You're going to give us a tip.
Yeah, it's a great tip.
Yeah.
Take some plastic bags with you. You know that it's not the most fucking biodegradable. If they can be biodegradable, all the better. And always have a toilet roll with you. But any festival goer knows to bring at least one toilet roll.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, come on. So you're like, I do not want to go to the shit pit. I also don't want to travel a quarter of a mile to that only toilet that was working yesterday at 5 p.m. because it won't be now. Fuck it, I'm going to do it in my tent. So it's very easy. You just you fold open the plastic bag, you roll it open, you roll down the sides. So you end up with a sort of 3-inch walled, flattened area. You shit straight into it in the tent. Okay, you wipe, you put that in, you roll it back up, you tie a knot in it, you walk outside and you throw it into a trash bag. And, you've aired your tent and it's been remarkably clean. You didn't have to go near anyone else's shit or piss or dirty toilet paper on the floor or any of that stuff. And it's actually quite a sensible way to go, other than it not being as ecological as perhaps it might be.
We like to call that on the show the Boo Bess, because she did that in her own kitchen while somebody was in her bathroom.
Yeah. And
everybody, listen to that episode.
And and my lovely co-host just did that not too long ago as well.
I didn't do it in a plastic bag rolled onto the floor. I just opened the lid to my trash can and shit in it, basically.
Yeah, that's the same family.
But I did call it the Boo Bess because it was in my kitchen, because my significant other was shitting in the bathroom, and I had two choices: to do it in my pants or do it somewhere not in my pants.
The litter box.
Nope. Was it? Because that'd be too hard to clean up.
Yeah.
The garbage was super fast and easy to clean.
One time I used to live with my ex-wife, Patu, very into herbs and witchcraft and the natural things. So, and it was always like, oh God, what is it going to be this time? For a while back there. One day I come home. We lived in a nice suburban house, had a huge back garden. I come in through the front door. She's not there. It's summertime. All the doors are open. I'm expecting, she'll be in the garden somewhere. So I look at the dining room table, and there's a hardback book, large hardback book, with one simple word on the front: humanure.
Ooh.
Oh God.
One word: humanure. You don't even need to read that book. You know what that's about, right? So I walk out into the garden, and immediately I'm hit with this stench of human shit. Right, and my wife looking quite smugly at me, and I've worked out exactly what's happened immediately. And I look at her and I go, I don't think you just literally shit on the garden. Yeah, I think you probably have to build 2 pits and shit in one, and then it transfers to the other. It's like a cesspit or something, and then it becomes something that you can use as compost and manure. I don't think you could just shit on your raspberries. You know what I mean?
We even learned recently that human piss is really great for your garden, but you actually need to let it sit for 2 weeks. Like, you can't just pee on your garden.
No, and female piss kills some plants that male piss doesn't kill.
Exactly.
Interesting.
You have to do certain things to it.
Yeah. You have to let it
If
ferment.
that was true, like every time my dog peed, my grass would be beautiful, but it's not. It's brown and there's like a dead patch.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that happens.
You gotta let it marinate. Oh my God. So you were alluding earlier to when we talked on the beach a while ago, a role you were talking about, and you were something to the effect. Man, granted, I was a little high, so excuse me if I don't remember this whole thing correctly, but I believe you're talking about some book or something you were reading for a role or a possible role, and you were wondering like how it was some medieval thing, maybe 15th
Yeah.
century.
So I've got it here.
Oh.
I'm going to read it to you. It's probably going to take 5 minutes. You can edit it. Are we going? We don't go out live, do we? You edit.
Oh no, I edit this whole thing. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Now, what I've done is a conversation between Rabelais, Gargantua, his character Gargantua, and another character, and it's full of things like. And then he said, "Surely not," but I said, "No, it is indeed the case, sir." I've cut those bits out, so it's now going to read a bit like a monologue. Here we go. I have, by a long and curious experience, found out a means to wipe my bum, the most lordly, the most excellent, the most convenient that ever was seen. Once I did wipe me with a gentlewoman's velvet mask, and found it to be good, for the softness of the silk was very voluptuous and pleased to my fundament. Another time with one of their hoods, and in like manner that was comfortable. At another time with a lady's neckerchief, and after that I wiped me with some earpieces of hers made of crimson satin. But there was such a number of golden spangles in them, turdy, round things, a pox take them, that they fetched away all the skin of my tail with a vengeance. Now I wish St. Anthony's fire burned the bum gut of the goldsmith that made them, and of her that wore them. Afterwards, in a dunging behind a bush, I found a march cat, with which I wiped my breech, but her claws were so sharp that they scratched and exulcerated my perineum. Of this I recovered the next morning thereafter by wiping myself with my mother's gloves, a most excellent perfume and scent of the Arabian Benin. After that I wiped me with sage, fennel, aneth, with marjoram, with roses, gourd leaves, beets, colewort, leaves of the vine tree, with mallows, wool blade, which is tail scarlet, with lettuce and with spinach leaves. All this did very good to my leg. Then with mercury, with parsley, with nettles, with comfrey, but that gave me the bloody flux of Lombardy, which I healed by wiping me with my braguette. Then I wiped my tail in the sheets, in the coverlet, in the curtains, with a cushion, with arras hangings, with a green carpet, with a tablecloth, a napkin, a handkerchief, a combing cloth, at all which I found more pleasure than do many dogs when you rub them. I wiped myself with hay, with straw, with thatch rushes, with flax, with wool, with paper, but who his foul tail with paper wipes, so shall his ballocks leave some chips. Yes, and here we go on with, hark, what our privy says to the skiters. Skiters is people that shit. Shitard, squitard, crackard, turdus, thy bung hath flung some dung on us. Filthard, cackard, stinkard, St. Anthony's fire seize on thy throne. Bone, if thy dirty doon me thou do not wipe, ere thou be gone. In shitting yesterday I did know, the cess I to my arse did owe. The smell was such came from that slunk, that I was with it all bestunk. Oh, had but them some brave signor brought me to her I waited for. In shitting, I would have cleft her water gap, joined it close to my flip-flap. What she had with her fingers guarded, my foul knockandro, all bemurdered in shitting. By the murdy, they have not of my making. There is no we're on the home straight now. There is no need of wiping one's tail, but when it is foul, foul it cannot be, unless one have been a skiting. Skite then we must before we wipe our tails. Now I prithee, go on to this tortulative or wipe bumatory discourse, and be my beard, I swear, for 1 puncheon thou shalt have 60 pipes. I mean of good Breton wine, not that which grows in Britain. Afterwards I wiped my bum, said Gargantua, with a kerchief, with a pillow, with a pantouf, with a pouch, with a panier, but that was a wicked and unpleasant torture cool. And then with a hat. Of hats, note that some are shorn, and others shaggy, some velveted, others coveted with taffeties, and others with satin. The best of all there is a shaggy hat, but it makes a very neat abstination of the fecal matter. Afterwards I wiped my tail with a hen, with a cock, with a pullet, with a caulskin, with a hare, a pigeon, a commoner, an attorney's bag, with a montero, with a coif, and a falconer's lure. But to conclude, I say and maintain that of all the torcheschules, arse wipes, bum fodders, tail napkins, bunghole cleansers, and wipe breeches, there is none in the world comparable to the neck of a goose that is well downed.
Oh my God.
if you hold her head betwixt your legs, and believe me therein upon mine honour, you will thereby feel in your knockhole a most wonderful pleasure, both in regard of the softness of said down and of the temperate heat of the goose, which is easily communicated to the bum gut and the rest of the innards, in so far as to come even to the regions of the heart and brains, and think not that the felicity of the heroes and demigods of the Elysian fields consisted either in their asphodel, ambrosia, or nectar, as our old women here used to say, but in this, according to my judgment, that they wipe their tails with the neck of a goose, hold her head betwixt their legs, and such is the opinion of Master John of Scotland, alias Scotus, which is a weird ending. But there we are.
Wow. So if anybody out there has ever wiped their ass with the neck of a goose, please, we'd love to hear your story. You can call our hotline at 203-998-5579. We'd love to hear the weird things you've wiped your ass with.
I wonder if I could see Bjork doing that.
Right? With her dress?
Yeah.
Done with it?
Please don't let me hear the song about it. Sorry, I'm not a big Björk fan.
Just picture that dress you wore.
I'm being facetious for comedian's sake. Right, I've changed location because I too was running out of juice. Okay, so yes, thank you for letting me read that.
Yeah, of course.
I've long wanted to, and I was really thrilled.
I feel honored. I'm honored that you read it for us. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
A little bit of high art for our show.
Yeah, right. But who knew that it was such a studied subject?
I mean, clearly, this person did a lot of research. Well, we've been
also high art for our low brows.
Yes, we've been going out for a while here, so I say we do a quick little news story, and then we'll get you out of here, Matt.
Okay.
If that's cool with you. So this little bit of news, it came. I found on the free Metro magazine or Metro newspaper, but pretty much everybody heard about this in New York City anyway, where it's now officially illegal to shit on a train. There's an official shit ban on the train, which one would think that would have been like the number one priority thing. That would have been my first thing on the list of things not to do, like to actually have a ban on. But yeah, it's official. You can't shit.
But it came from but that's because something happened to precipitate the need for a law.
Well,
right?
they were getting a lot of complaints because that it started surging in 2019, and with the whole coronavirus, a lot of homeless people were living on the train, and then people were just saying like the amount of shit they were seeing had gone up. Like, there's no percentages on this story, but I can imagine it must have been just out of control, like shit everywhere.
But we have been doing this podcast for 93 episodes, and we have heard a lot of subway shit stories. So the fact that this just became illegal, and it's illegal, and you get $100 fine. Like, they're not going to even arrest the person. But most of the time when we hear shit stories on the subway, we see the remnants. We didn't actually see where it came from.
Oh yeah, I've seen tons of that stuff.
There's so many layers to this where I'm just like, what?
I mean, it's not going to stop it. I mean, it's not people patrolling the subways looking for shitters. I mean, that could be a new job. The people out of work, that's a job right there. That's an economy.
But I mean, if you're homeless and you've got you're one of those scruffy types in the tube with your belongings in a bag and all of that business, you don't want to shit in your trousers because that's your bed.
Exactly.
Right. So I can appreciate that you would want, to shit, and it's going to get worse as we all know. Those of us that are in New York throughout the winter, homeless people, it's warm down at the subway, so people are going to go there.
You got a little bit of buzz there. That's okay. I think you're. Can you?
Not a bit computerized.
Yeah, a little bit. That's a filter we're putting on everybody. Don't. Those aren't technical difficulties. That's an effect.
Okay, but the bigger question to all of this is. Yes, it just became illegal to shit on the subway in New York. What are they going to do about it? When you gotta poo, it's coming out of you.
I was thinking the same thing.
We need more public fucking toilets in this city. And right now, there's actually less. You can't even shit in Starbucks anymore thanks to COVID.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's going to be bad, and you're right. It's going to get worse. It's getting colder out here, and it's only going to be more shit. Now, granted, I still have not been on the subway since March 13th. That was the last time I was on a subway, so I haven't seen it personally. But at some point, I'm going to have to take a train, and I'm just.
I went to Bambi's to get my hair cut, and I took the subway for the first time since March. It wasn't that reassuring, David. I must admit, there were too many people, and
I'm sure.
There was a propensity for infection, I suppose. I mean, I was very holed up in myself, but it wasn't ideal.
No,
and it's a problem area.
Completely. And it's you're right. It's only going to get worse. So I mean, I'm interested in see how they're going to handle all this. This weird announcement that is made, like, no shit. No one wants to shit in the train. No one wants to see it, but if it's something to happen, it's going down. It's coming out.
Small point, listeners. Any of you wheelchair users out there already know this, but any of you people that might find yourselves with a wheelchair user one day who then declares they desperately need a shit, that's obviously going to be more of a conundrum because accessibility in toilets isn't everywhere. Every single Starbucks toilet is fully wheelchair accessible from the street through to the bowl.
That's good.
That's amazing.
Always remember that, guys.
Amazing. Well, with that, I would like to. Whoops, sorry.
I just want to complain some more. Amtrak and New Jersey Transit and Metro North, they have shitters on the train. Subway, get your shit together and get toilets. You need more you can't just ban an act without having a solution to the fucking problem. So
also, I mean, they could just put a ban on it. It's not like anything's going to happen. I mean, maybe the occasional person might get caught taking a shit, but it's still going to happen. It's not like person's going to be like, okay, well, we can't shit here. Sorry. Let me wait till I get outside. It's still going to happen. So,
yeah.
But I just thought, it's news. It's poo news. We had to talk about it.
Of course.
Most people who find themselves most people riding the subway who are at the point where they're going to have to decide pants or floor, probably can't afford the $100, right?
Yeah.
No, exactly.
So
right.
Just gonna shit in my pants and go home stinky because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
But also, it's like how in New York they just made it a $500 fine for the police officers have to wear masks because they're going around not wearing masks. Who's policing the police? Yeah. It's like, really? This is so fucking stupid. You have to have an answer. You have to have a solution to these problems. You can't just make up a fine. It doesn't work, people.
No, I know. Well, it's a lot. I think you should run for office, Ellen.
And my platform is public toilets everywhere.
Yeah.
And then you have like a insane workforce to clean those disgusting public toilets.
Hey, I'm making jobs.
You're making jobs. I'm telling you, even the poo inspectors, like on the train, like just here you go, buddy. Here's your $100 ticket. Like you said, I used to work at like Oracle or IBM before. Now I'm doing this.
Well, I can't believe we've been talking for an hour and a half.
I can. This happens all the time.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Well,
it never gets old.
It's popular. It's all the kids are talking about.
I really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for asking me on. Let's face it, I bullied my way onto this.
No, not at all. I did ask at the beach. So, and thank you so much for coming on the show and giving us that lovely soliloquy. I thought it was amazing. It was
fun.
It was great. And tell our audience where they could find you. On social medias or like.
Currently, guys, the best place you can find me is on nobody says this anymore, do they? www.visibilitycollection.com, all one word. It's a subsidiary of BBC America, and it's my page for the month of October.
Oh,
I've got
excellent.
6 monologues that I've curated, all by disabled writers and directors. Really top quality stuff. Cool. My first one, mine is the first one. It's called Audition. And that's the easiest and quickest place to see me and the stuff that I do. I do have a website, matfraser.uk. But if you really want to see me in action, then go to Visibility Collection for free, no subscription required during the month of October.
Excellent.
But this episode's coming out on November 11th.
But we can
we just missed it. Armistice Day.
It's okay.
No, it's okay. Is there any? Are you going to play it anywhere else?
Yeah, it comes out in the UK in the middle of November. put them up
Okay.
on their iPlayer. So very similar kind of
Well,
thing.
maybe we could do is like we'll put a little like special preview like a little special extra, early preview, just so we can get the word out. But that's good to know.
I think one of them mentions poo,
Oh.
I think one of them, the benefits one, I think
Always-
there's a bit about pooing in that.
It always comes back to poop.
After this, Matt, we have to email you about your comedian friend, about that short film. Like, we have a lot of homework to do thanks to all your recommendations.
A lot of follow-up.
Not at all. And you'll love Tanya Lee Davis because she's a really scandalous comedian.
Love it.
And yeah, it's like the best story ever. It is the best story ever.
Okay. Well, you primed
All
us.
right. What do I do? Do I say thank you very much?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
It's been a real honor being your guest, and I look forward to seeing you guys, if not back on the beach, then somewhere social and distanced in the near future.
Yes.
We do too.
Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on the show.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Take care.
And happy pooping, everybody, and enjoy your butthole.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect 4 Entertainment. Produced by Dave and Ellen, with executive producer Stormy Leather. Edited by me, Dave.
For more information, go to heypoopypodcast.com for episodes, merch, and more. Follow us on Instagram at heypoopypodcast and Twitter at heypoopy. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey Poopy.